Hello, listeners. Mary Alice here. You know, transparency matters to me and Dr. A. So let me start by saying this episode is sponsored by Mirena levonorgestrel-releasing intrauterine system, 52 milligrams. If you've listened to the now nearly 100 episodes of SheMD, you know that Dr. A often references the Mirena IUD. So this is a happy collaboration. Our guest on this podcast is the amazing Kendall Toole, who is a well-being and fitness genius and a Mirena partner and user. We do have to share important safety information about Mirena.
Indications for Mirena. Mirena, levonorgestrel-releasing intrauterine system, is a hormone-releasing IUD that prevents pregnancy for up to 8 years. Mirena also treats heavy periods for up to 5 years in women who choose intrauterine contraception. Important safety information. If you have a pelvic or genital infection, get infections easily, or have certain cancers, don't use Mirena. Less than 1% of users get a serious pelvic infection called pelvic inflammatory disease, PID. If you have persistent pelvic or stomach pain or excessive bleeding after placement, tell your healthcare provider, HCP. If Mirena comes out, call your HCP and avoid intercourse, or use non-hormonal backup birth control, such as condoms or spermicide. Mirena may go into or through the wall of the uterus and cause other problems. Pregnancy while using Mirena is uncommon, but can be life-threatening and may result in loss of pregnancy or fertility. Ovarian cysts may occur but usually disappear. Bleeding and spotting may increase in the first 3 to 6 months and remain irregular. Periods over time usually become shorter, lighter, or may stop. Mirena does not protect against HIV or STIs. Only you and your HCP can decide if Mirena is right for you. Mirena is available by prescription only. See full prescribing information at www.mirena-us.com/PI. You are encouraged to report side effects or quality complaints of products to the FDA by visiting www.fda.gov/medwatch or calling 1-800-FDA-1088. Mirena is a registered trademark of Bayer, intended for U.S. residents only.
Before we get started, a reminder to always consult your own healthcare provider when determining what birth control options may be right for you. Thank you for your patience with that messaging. Now, let's get into our conversation with Kendall Toole. Okay, SheMD listeners and viewers, we have Kendall Toole today on our podcast. We're going to talk about one of my favorite things in the entire world, how to be a girl boss. And I think, you know, we're also going to talk about a lot of other things. We're going to talk about birth control and choices that you're making and all that, because we are a medical podcast. But I also think being a girl boss is something that every woman, you know, it strives to. And I think your story is incredible, and I can't wait to get into it because it's very nuanced. So thank you for being on the podcast.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It's such an honor to be here. I'm so excited for our conversation. And
you are known for, you started off, well, I'm going to let you tell your whole story.
Oh, sure. I was at Peloton for 5 years, and then I left a year ago. And I am just about to launch something very, very special come this fall for my community. And now in this next chapter, it's all about being that girl boss that you mentioned, really building what I want to build and betting on myself.
When did you become this phenomenon on Peloton? Because you started off as a boxer. Your theme is never knocked out.
Exactly. Yes.
Which is like never knocked. That's a good thing. Like never knocked out. Life's going to come and slap you in the face, but you're not going to be, or punch you in the face. You keep going.
Absolutely.
So how did you get from, you know, this fitness lover boxer to this place at Peloton kind of to where you are right now?
I really kind of fell into it. Cody Rigsby slid into my DMs on Instagram and was like, hey, you know, I know you're a fitness instructor. Do you teach cycling classes? And I said, yeah. And I had taken probably 2 SoulCycle classes in my entire life. And I'm like, I could figure it out. The bike doesn't go anywhere. Like I could do it. Well, I kind of had to train up and really get ready for the audition process. And that was in the summer of 2019. And then I got the job pretty quickly. They're like, move to New York in 2 weeks. Never thought that I would end up in the fitness world. Right. Fitness was just a way for me to kind of deal with my mental health. Like boxing helped me ground myself through a really difficult chapter in my life where I've dealt with anxiety and depression. I'm sure we'll get into that at some point, which I love to talk about. But anyway, yeah, so that was the summer of 2019. And I premiered it that September. And next thing you know, March 2020, we all remember the world shut down. And it seemed like everybody got a Peloton. And I just kept teaching classes. And I lived in a tiny little studio apartment in New York and just kept riding that bike that would go nowhere, but we all went nowhere together. And we all got stronger and empowered, and the rest is history. Yeah.
And you've talked a lot about your health. You've been very open about anxiety and depression, and how, you've been really trying to get control of your health. And that's really what we talk about on this podcast all the time is giving everyone the knowledge and tools to be their own health advocate. So it's all about learning your own body, and what works for you may not work for another person. And thank God we have this incredible woman next to me who really is. I mean, she just changed my life, and she's changed so many women's lives around me by giving real information, medically backed information. So can you talk a little bit about that journey of, like, did you suffer from health issues or?
Absolutely. Yeah. So as we know with mental health and like with anxiety and depression, they do run in the family. So it's something that has been a consistent in my family for generations. Of course, generations previous, we didn't talk about these things. The stigma was so real. I remember people would talk about my great-grandmother, and they're like, oh, she's having a day. Or they'd talk about she would isolate and do these certain things. And now here we are in 2025. We would look at that very differently today, which is a wonderful thing in the steps that we've taken towards destigmatization. But my story really started when I was about 10, 11 years old. I was a gymnast, and I had all of these rituals that I had to complete so I could feel like I had some semblance of control. So my mom would have to tuck me into bed a certain way. I had to wear socks. I couldn't be barefoot or have dirty feet. There were all these little clues. So graciously, because my family is very open-minded to therapy and to seeking medical help for these things, because it had been something that's part of our family history, I was able to go to therapy at 11 years old, where I got my OCD diagnosis and had great tools to learn to manage it, learn to manage some of that stress and some of the anxiety in my head. And then where it really came to the big moment was when I was a senior at USC. And, from the outside, I had everything. I was the cheerleader at SC. I was in the film program. I got straight A's. And this was just around Thanksgiving, my senior year of college. And I pretended I was fine. And I put on a great mask and a great front, but I was so numb. I really felt nothing. And I was so concerned about graduating and my life, not knowing what my life would be and if I'd be happy and if I'd be successful in the way that I had expected of myself. And I was moments away. A little trigger warning to anyone listening. I've shared this publicly, but I was moments away from taking my own life. And I always choke up at this. And I looked over at my phone that I had on silent, and it was lit up. And my mom there was 15 missed calls from my mom. We hadn't spoken probably for like 5 or 6 hours. We're very close. You guys met her earlier. She's here with me today. Like, my mom and I are besties. She's the best. She's such a wonderful woman and a great time. And I picked up the phone, and she goes, "What's wrong?" And I just said, "Mom, can you come pick me up?" And I did not tell my parents for 3 years how close I was. Yeah. And it was a really difficult time because I had everything on the exterior, and inside I was so numb. But the beautiful thing about that journey was that I got help, but where the never knocked out thing really comes into play, and the root story of this is about 2 weeks after that very awful night. My dad came up to my bedroom, and this I do remember. And I was struggling, as one does with mental health, with the basics, with getting out of bed, with showering, with eating. I was really not doing well. And I remember he came up to my bedroom and he said, "Honey, I love you very much. I know you want to graduate on time, but Mom and I are having a conversation because you're struggling right now that we probably will need to put you in an inpatient if we can't get you to get moving." Oh my gosh, I'm going to cry. I always cry at this. Thank you. It's a beautiful thing though, and we'll get to why. But he said, "What is our family motto?" And I looked at him and he goes, say it for me. And I said, "They can knock you down, but they can never knock you out." Ooh, we're feeling it. I'm going to have a sip of coffee.
What an incredible dad too.
Yeah.
I mean,
to pull that
we all
in.
need somebody like that in our corner.
Exactly. And to cheer. And he said, "I know this is knocking you down, but it's up to you if you're going to let this knock you out." And that was it. I think seeing my dad, a very strong, very quiet, like my mom's a 5-year-old, my dad's like very stalwart and calm, and he comes from a family of doctors. And seeing him level with me at that moment and seeing the pleading in his eyes, I was like, I have to fight for myself. And that's what changed everything. So it was a long fight. It was
How
going to
old
therapy.
are you at this point?
I was 21.
Wow.
I was 21 years old and went into therapy, started going a couple times a week, didn't have to go into inpatient. I was very proud of myself. I graduated on time, graduated top of my class. I did it. I got out and I entered, into the tech and media world. And then I pivoted. And thank God I had a mentor who's a film director who I was working for as a PA at the time at some of his commercial shoots and other things. And I love this man so much. I owe him quite a bit. And he saw that kind of intensity. And he's like, hey, how about you come to the boxing gym? I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, just, you've got a lot going on. Just come. Trust me, come. So I went to the boxing gym. It was in Santa Monica. And I learned how to fight. And I would go 3 times a week. So it was therapy, and it was literal therapy, and there was physical therapy, which was for me was boxing. And I started to find my power, and I'd hit a mitt and that cracking sound. And there was something that shifted to understand, like, wait, I can fight back, and I can fight for myself, and I can fight for my health. And that's was the root of then fast forward a few years later when I pivoted from tech and media and went into teaching fitness because I wanted other women to have that experience. I wanted to provide that to others.
What an incredible story.
No. Sorry for the tears. Oh my gosh.
Never apologize for the tears.
You're right.
And I just want to say to your parents, that call or that, even though you didn't say it, there's nothing more scary for a parent to hear or find out that their child might want to take their own life. And I think, being able to just lean into it with you and just talk to you, and it doesn't matter if it's a parent or a friend or anybody, just to be able to have that person that goes there and says, we're going to pull you out of this and we can do this together, and look at what you've done with it.
Absolutely. I think that's the beautiful thing that I've learned at this stage in life. I'm now 32. That happened at 21. It's led to speaking about this publicly. It's so beautiful to be at a stage in life where I look back and I'm like, oh, the dots have connected. That struggle and that suffering
got me here.
And even if my voice shakes, and even if I cry, or even if it gets emotional, someone will listen and someone will say, oh my gosh, I see that, or I feel that. And back to that too, one other thing I want to say, since we do have the wonderful audience that listens to both of you, is that if someone is in a position where they are feeling that numbness like I did 10 years ago, 11 years ago, I really want them to know that there's more, and that those moments feel all encompassing, and it feels like there's nothing left, and it feels kind of like the period, the end of the sentence. But really it's an ellipses. There's a couple more dots. Just like keep moving, keep that next step. Take a breath. There is more, and we need us here. We all are here for a reason. We need to stay here.
Yeah, that's incredible. I love your story is amazing, and like
so empowering.
Yeah, you're going to change a lot of people's lives with everything that you're doing. You are the embodiment of, never knocked down. I look at you now, and then you're creating this incredible program, and you are this amazing person on Peloton. Has it always been easy in that front?
Absolutely not. And I think that's what we know about womanhood, right? We know for so many of us, it's so easy in today's world too, and with social media and all of these other platforms, we look at people and we put them on pedestals because we only see the shiny exterior, right? And we all know from experiencing it, there's a story behind everybody. Behind that smile, there's a lot of things that are going on. So yes, was I physically healthy? Yes, in a way. I would be very fit, and I used fitness to help me move through different parts of my life. I was a gymnast growing up. That turned to dance and cheerleading, and then I really fell in love with lifting weights and finding strength through that and through boxing. But underneath all of that, I was dealing with just women's health issues. I struggled with heavy menstrual bleeding. I struggled just with terrible cramping, terrible periods, to the point that if I was active, I was always worried. Like I would bleed through a Super Plus tampon every hour. Like,
how old were you when this all started?
Oh gosh, I got my period when I was 12. And I would say it started just getting worse and worse. I was devastated the day that it happened because it was just brutal. I was like, this sucks. Like, I don't want to wear it.
I was devastated too. I was ashamed. I'm a lot older than you, but it was like, I hid the tampons. I mean, it was just like, I don't know. I'm so happy it's different now.
I know.
And we're talking about tampons, vagina, period. But is that normal to bleed that heavily?
So when you first start your period, it could be normal. It's irregular when we're young. It can be heavy, it can be painful, and your body's just getting used to it. However, it's not normal to have heavy periods continuously all the time as you're growing up. It's not normal to have painful periods.
And I think it's interesting what you said about that, because it's that idea that as women, and I think I thought this too, oh, it's supposed to be painful. Like, I'm a woman, toughen up. There is this
Yeah,
idea that
totally.
unfortunately, or like I remember hearing this adage, like beauty is pain. That's terrible. That is not, and I've learned this now, that is not how you should live life. Life should not be painful. Your period should not be painful. But I just thought that's what it was. And then I would talk to, this is actually a pretty cool, my boyfriend Alex, both his father and his older sister are OBGYNs. And it's really awesome, I have to say, quick side note, everybody, date a man who understands the female body, because nothing is off limits, to the point that I was almost like embarrassed to bring stuff up. I was always active in some way, shape, or form. So if it were dance and dance competitions, right? It's high stress, it's high performance, it's adrenaline, it's a blast. But when you're pushing your body physically like that over and over and over again, you're overwhelmed and your body is just scathing hot, and then you are trying to come down. And I was always afraid of leaking, because I would always have issues when I had when I had a pad, those would leak as well. And I remember oh my gosh, I was so afraid to go to bed, because I didn't want to leak onto my sheets. And it happened so many times growing up. And it was so embarrassing.
So terrible. I hear that a lot with young girls.
Like when you were teaching these Peloton classes, what would you do if you had your period?
Okay, so this was, and honestly, this is why girls are awesome, and then we look out for each other. So the biggest fear, because there was a big mirror behind us, right? And it's a big dark room, and you can't see your butt or that area, but when you lift up out of the saddle, I was so worried that I would leak and that it would be visible on camera. So even if I was wearing black, or God forbid I was wearing gray or a semi-lighter color, I'd always try to wear darker colors when I was on my period. But even then, there was one time, it was just a terrible day. I felt awful, but I had to teach. I had a live class. I think it was late at night too. I taught a late night Wednesday class, and it was my favorite class to teach because it was live for LA, and I called it West Coast Wednesdays. And I was like, this is like my love for my Californians. Like this is our little time. But I remember I was so nervous that I tucked, we have these like black towels, and I tucked a towel. I pretended, guys, full acting. I was like, oh, it's so hot in here. No, it wasn't. I had the fans blasting, and I don't really sweat that much on my face. On my back, I do. So I like pretended to blot, and then I tucked the towel behind, almost like where football players do it, where they tuck a towel. No, they're not doing. They're not doing it because they have a period. But I had to tuck the towel so that it would cover that area of like both my butt and like underneath my seat, just in case, because I was so worried I leaked, and I thought I did because I'm on a bike. I'm sweating.
I can imagine.
Like, yeah,
and not anymore, right?
No.
So what are you using now?
I'm using tampons today. I got a Mirena IUD.
I have a question.
Yep.
You have lots of choices when it comes to birth control. I love Mirena IUD, but why did you choose it?
So I started dating my boyfriend. We were talking about this. And so I was looking into getting an IUD, and he said, hey, you should talk to my sister. Now, granted, imagine this. You're like probably 4.5, 5 months dating somebody, and your really lovely boyfriend's like, talk to my sister who you've never met about your periods and about your sex life. And I'm like, this is a little scary. I'm like, I don't know if I'm comfortable with this. And he said, listen, she's a resident. She's pregnant. And so we started talking. He gave me her number. I was nervous to text her. She was so nice. I asked every question under the sun, and I explained what my symptoms were, what my experience was. And she goes, I really think you need she's like, Mirena, absolutely. Being as knowledgeable and also being an OBGYN, she loved it. She really thought it was the right fit for me. So that was the first decision maker. Second was, she was describing, and what my experience has been too, it's very low maintenance. Like, I don't have to worry. I had issues with that previously with previous birth control, where I was concerned that I couldn't be as consistent with it as I needed to be. I hate to call this like set it and forget it, but like it kind of is the vibe.
I just want to make sure you know that you still have to check your threads inside the vagina once a month.
So set it, feel for it, and then for it.
Yes.
Feel for it monthly. I'm so sorry that
just a little tickle up there.
Just a little tickle. Yeah, so a little set it and forget it, a little check the threads. But I would much rather check the threads and be consistent, which is great.
So you're not jumping to have babies right now?
Not right now. My very Italian mother, who you met previously, loves to ask this question because I think she's really ready for another set of grandbabies. But no, I would say we want to get these businesses launched. This is a very important year. And that was a big thing for me with birth control. I was like, I want to be able to have choice. I want to be able to know I can put my full focus in on what I'm creating and wanting to build this next chapter. And truly, I want that to kind of operate itself, because I really look forward to being a mom one day. I've always wanted to be a mom. And I want to be as present as I can be, because I was very spoiled with a mom that was also very present and put a lot of time, effort, and energy into us. So what's good, and correct me if I'm wrong, Dr. A, feel free, the Mirena is 99% effective, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
if you're using it for birth control.
So I'm like, okay, maybe 2 more years for me. So it's great. So my heavy menstrual bleeding won't be bad because we have 5 years there, correct?
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
But that's so great to know. I mean, honestly, as a woman, when I think of my mom who had 5 kids in 4 years.
Oh my God.
And there were not all these options back then for them. And now as women, we're so lucky that we get to make this choice for ourselves. We get to decide when we want to have children. We get to decide, you know, hey, right now I'm building my business. I've met this amazing guy and maybe it's going to be 2 years, but I have this birth control in me that can protect me for up to 8 years.
Even with this newer generation, which we didn't have, the egg freezing, even the option of being able to freeze your eggs did not exist for your mom's generation. So if you were not married and you were not married by a certain age, you wouldn't be able to have children. You know, so we definitely have more options as far as birth control options. Yeah. It's so much easier.
It is. And I think it's so important to be able to, more than ever, to be able to have your decision and your choice matter as a woman, I think is key. And that's a big one for me. I've had a different life path than some of my friends. You know, I worked in corporate and then I worked in fitness and then I have this social media part of myself and now the entrepreneur part that's coming up now. And I would have never known that would have been the path. When I was 21-year-old Kendall, who was going through everything in college, I thought that I had to stick to a script of what my life was supposed to be. You know, you graduate college, you get the job, you work your way up. I thought I wanted to like produce at, you know, one of the studios or whatever and make TV shows and whatnot. And then I'd get married by 28 and then I'd have kids, 2 kids by 32. Well, LOL, I'm 32, 0 kids, not married.
I just want to make sure we cover one thing because there's a misconception that if you put an IUD in, let's say if I say you get to keep it for as a birth control for 8 years, if you change your mind and if let's say 2 years after the placement of the IUD, you're ready to have a baby, you can have your healthcare provider, don't do it at home, your doctor will pull it out and, you know, 8 out of 10 women who do this and want to get pregnant, they get pregnant within the first year of pulling the IUD.
That's incredible.
You've talked about this Mirena IUD since I first met you. What is a Mirena IUD?
So Mirena IUD is a hormonal IUD that is 99% effective. I use it all the time for heavy periods. The only thing I want to make sure our listeners understand is that if you use Mirena IUD as a form of birth control, which is amazing, then you get to keep it for 8 years. But if you're using it to treat heavy periods, then you want to change it every 5 years. And a lot of patients or doctors don't know this important information.
So it's a double whammy for you. It's helping you with your heavy periods and it's providing the birth control.
Y'all, no babies here yet, and I'm also not bleeding poorly. So yes, I'm happy. Yay! Light bleeding, people. Yay!
So someone comes to your office, says, I want to get an IUD. How do they go about doing that?
I think before you go to your doctor's appointment, I would say learn your options. So when you go to your appointment, you're ready. You have some basic knowledge, but it's very, very important to discuss your options with your physician before you decide which form of birth control you want to use. For example, if you want to have a Mirena IUD, you can go on Mirena.com and you can get all the information you need before you go to your appointment. So you're informed and ready.
And I think that's the point. We have all these options, but really it's up to you to research, then talk to your doctor.
Yes.
And then you have an informed decision. No. So because this is a women's health podcast and I really want to get to the bottom of it, I've never had an IUD. So I don't even understand. So you stick it up there. Like, will you explain what it is?
You don't stick up.
And because I knew we were going to talk about birth control, I really wanted to bring one so that we can like...
Wait, there's something stuck to it.
Oh, there's like a little
actually,
thing to it.
You're holding it upside down.
Okay, so see, I've never had one.
This is not the real IUD.
Oh, it's not a real IUD?
No.
Oh, okay.
This is just a model for it.
Okay, so this is not what you put up inside your vagina.
Not this specific one.
So this goes inside.
I wish I had my little model with me. So, you know, we have a uterus, tubes, and ovaries, and then you have the vagina. The opening to the uterus, the mouth of the uterus, is the cervix. The cervix is what you see when you put a speculum in and we do a pap smear. We're taking samples of the cervix. So the string that you see on that IUD, that little string comes out of the cervix, right? But the actual IUD sits inside the uterus. So sometimes patients say, but no, I don't want to touch it. I don't want to feel it. You won't be able to touch that.
Yeah.
And one, you can't place it. You need your healthcare provider.
I've always wondered that.
No,
you definitely can't place it, trust me.
It works amazingly well. It's an office procedure. It's pretty quick. Usually gynecologists do it, but physician assistants, family practice doctors, primary care doctors, you do it in the office. But again, if you use it for birth control, you can keep it for up to 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the important thing is we leave a little bit of that string, maybe 3 centimeter of that thread. Let me show it to me.
Okay.
I want to show it.
Okay.
So we leave a part of this thread outside of the cervix, inside the vagina. And we always teach our patients to actually check the threads once a month.
How do you check your thread?
So that's when you can put your fingers in the vagina and
put your
just
finger
feel
up there
for it.
And you just feel that the threads are there?
Mm-hmm.
And if
That's
they're not
it.
there, then what happens?
Then you can go and make sure your doctor checks and make sure it hasn't moved. But if it's placed correctly and you're not pulling on it, it's not going to come out. It's good to know that these threads are in the vagina and you can check on it once a month to make sure they're still there. But I want to tell you something though. You can check your egg count even with a Mirena IUD.
Okay,
if
that's
you're not
actually
ready
great
to
know.
have kids for the next few years. Knowledge is power. So I want you to, it's a simple test. You can do it. It's a blood test. It's called AMH.
Okay.
It's good to do a pelvic ultrasound. You need to make sure everything's fine, which I'm sure you had it at some point.
Yes.
And, just be your own advocate.
Great. I fly back to Florida tomorrow, and I'm gonna call up and I'm
Call
like,
your
"Hello."
sister-in-law.
Yeah, my sister-in-law will be like, "Hi, next time I see you, can we get this test done, please? I want to know my egg count." And then the other thing is too, it's like I know within the next few years I would like to have children, and I'm ready for that chapter when that time comes. Right now, I'm in the business building mode and not ready for babies, but I would love for that to change probably sooner rather than later. And I wish every woman could have this. And I'm really grateful that you guys are doing this and having these conversations publicly. And that's why it's a real big honor to be here, because more women need access to know what their choices are, to make empowered choices for their own health, and to have the knowledge of it. And it's just shocking that it's not commonplace to have these conversations.
So you're very inspiring. And I guess when I think about your journey from that girl at 21, to where you are sitting here so composed, so just aware of who you are and where you're going, what would you tell that little girl?
Oh, I love this question. I think the beautiful thing is that it changes as the years go on, because I think I'm gaining more knowledge and more life experience. And I wouldn't tell her much. I'd tell her that she's enough. And I think that was the thing. Younger me felt this pressure to perform and to be seen and to like go harder, do better, climb to the highest height that you can and just create. And I didn't understand my value then. And the older that I get, I see more of my value now without having to have, yes, I have a platform and I have a beautiful social media community, and that will turn into this community elsewhere and giving back to that. But at the end of the day, I was more than enough then, and I'm more than enough now. And I think as women, we often feel like we have to be more to be valuable. And we forget that already inherently we're enough as is. That you don't have to add more accoutrement to it. You don't have to make anything any better. Like in every stage of our life, I think it's reminding yourself of where that value and that enoughness comes from. And it doesn't need to be another title or another experience or another zero in a bank account or, more whatever we put on ourselves. Like we are enough as is.
Really beautiful. And what's your advice to anyone listening that says, okay, how do I get there? I want to be you. I want to have this community that I can talk to and share things with. I want to be this beacon for women. What would you say to them?
It comes when you're authentic to yourself. And I this word authenticity, everyone's really pushing and pushing and pushing. But when you are showing up exactly how you feel most passionate, how you feel the most yourself, like hair down, whether it's sweatpants, or maybe it's all done up with a suit and heels or whatever position you're in. If you are living in that presence of when you feel the most authentic, it comes to you. It's like this weird magnet energy, and you just keep standing in what you love. You keep standing in that passion. You keep trying to serve and help other people, and it finds a way of accumulating. Yeah. And it's really hard in your 20s. Like if I could go back, anybody listening to this who's between like 25 and like 30, that was a really difficult time period because I felt like nobody was taking me seriously and I was so far from my dreams and it was just never going to happen. You get almost exhausted in the process, but that's where all the really, really good growth comes from, both in relationships, both in life. And then what I'm noticing with 30 and in this era is, all those seeds were planted and they were watered, but they just take a little time to sprout and grow. And now I'm getting into the phase where all of those little moments of hard work and of questioning myself, they brought me to a road where it's starting to fall together. And my biggest thing now for myself is just let it happen. Like, don't try to micromanage it or control it. Let it build as it's supposed to.
That's hard for me.
That's awesome.
I mean,
that's really
same.
great.
I mean, look, I'm telling you this advice. I'm literally like telling myself, I'm like, Kendall, you need to do this. You need to like not worry about how X, Y, and Z goes. But it is. When you allow things to accumulate, it's magnetism.
I think it's passion.
Yeah.
For me, it's passion. I would summarize it in one word, passion. If you follow your passion in life, everything else falls into place.
Yeah, it's true.
Well, I have enjoyed this so much. Where can people find you?
They can find me on Instagram and TikTok at Kendall Toole. I would very much love it if they also follow at NKO Club. Okay. So that stands for Never Knocked Out Club. And wink and a nod, something really special is coming this October.
Well,
so I can't wait.
We can't wait.
Yes.
Thank you so much for being here.
Oh,
today.
thank you both so much.
Visit Mirena.com to learn more and ask your healthcare provider about whether Mirena is right for you. Before we close, we would like to remind you of the safety information about Mirena.
Indications for Mirena. Mirena, levonorgestrel-releasing intrauterine system, is a hormone-releasing IUD that prevents pregnancy for up to 8 years. Mirena also treats heavy periods for up to 5 years in women who choose intrauterine contraception. Important safety information. If you have a pelvic or genital infection, get infections easily, or have certain cancers, don't use Mirena. Less than 1% of users get a serious pelvic infection called pelvic inflammatory disease, PID. If you have persistent pelvic or stomach pain or excessive bleeding after placement, tell your healthcare provider, HCP. If Mirena comes out, call your HCP and avoid intercourse, or use non-hormonal backup birth control, such as condoms or spermicide. Mirena may go into or through the wall of the uterus and cause other problems. Pregnancy while using Mirena is uncommon, but can be life-threatening and may result in loss of pregnancy or fertility. Ovarian cysts may occur but usually disappear. Bleeding and spotting may increase in the first 3 to 6 months and remain irregular. Periods over time usually become shorter, lighter, or may stop. Mirena does not protect against HIV or STIs. Only you and your HCP can decide if Mirena is right for you. Mirena is available by prescription only. See full prescribing information at www.mirena-us.com/PI. You are encouraged to report side effects or quality complaints of products to the FDA by visiting www.fda.gov/medwatch or calling 1-800-FDA-1088. Mirena is a registered trademark of Bayer, intended for U.S. residents only.
Thanks so much for joining us today on SheMD.
If you want to own your own health, a good place to start is by following us on social media at SheMD Podcast and by subscribing to our show on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts.
For takeaways from today's episode, visit our website, shemdpodcast.com. We'll see you next time on SheMD. This podcast is for educational and entertainment purposes only. It is not intended as a substitute for a physician's medical advice. You should regularly consult your medical provider in matters relating to your own health. Even though we share our honest beliefs on SheMD, some of the products and services we discuss may involve sponsorships or paid advertising.